I was once happily married to Amanda, living what I thought was the perfect life. We had our cozy home, promising careers and plans for the future. I always considered myself close to my family, especially my younger brother, Derek. My mother, Diana, was overprotective and clearly favored Derek, but I never saw that as a real problem. Derek had some boundary issues growing up sometimes, getting too possessive over things, or people he liked. But nothing prepared me for his dangerous obsession with my wife. I never imagined my own blood would become our nightmare. Before I jump into this story, let me know where you're watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever had to protect someone you love. Growing up in suburban Michigan, my family life looked normal from the outside, but there were always undercurrents of tension. My mother, Diana, was controlling, micromanaging everything from our schedules to our friendships. My younger brother, Derek, had emotional issues from an early age, prone to intense jealousy and unable to maintain healthy relationships. Derek was always the sensitive one, according to my mother. When neighborhood kids stopped inviting him to birthday parties because he would throw tantrums if he lost games, Mom blamed the other kids for being too competitive. When his high school girlfriend broke up with him and he slashed her tires, Mom paid for the damages and told everyone it was just a misunderstanding. Despite these red flags, I managed to escape through college. I worked hard, got a scholarship to a state university 3 hours away, and finally felt free. During my senior year, I met Amanda in a literature class we both took as an elective. She was everything I had ever dreamed of: creative, kind, funny, and incredibly talented at graphic design. We started dating, and 3 years later we were married in a small ceremony that my mother complained about for months because she wanted something bigger. Derek attended the wedding but barely spoke to anyone. I caught him staring at Amanda several times during the reception, but I chalked it up to his usual social awkwardness. If only I had recognized the dangerous fixation that was beginning even then. After the wedding, Amanda and I created a beautiful life together. We found a modest but comfortable house in a small town about 30 miles from my family, close enough for occasional visits but far enough to maintain our independence. Amanda built her freelance graphic design business from home, while I worked at a local engineering firm where I was being considered for a promotion. We developed weekend traditions like Saturday morning hikes and Sunday pancake breakfasts. We talked about having children in a few years once we were more financially stable. Everything seemed perfect. Our relationship was strong, our careers were flourishing, and we were deeply in love. Then Derek returned home. After failing out of a state college 2 hours away, my mother immediately organized a welcome home dinner and insisted that Amanda and I attend. "Family needs to stick together during tough times," she said, guilt-tripping me when I initially tried to decline. The dinner was uncomfortable from the start. Derek barely acknowledged me, but zeroed in on Amanda immediately. He asked invasive questions about her work, her daily routine, her hobbies. He complimented her appearance in ways that made her shift uncomfortably in her seat. "Your eyes are so unique. I bet George doesn't even notice them anymore," he said at one point. Amanda remained polite throughout the evening, but in the car ride home she mentioned how intense Derek had been. "He just seemed really focused on me. It was a little weird," she said. I assured her that Derek was just socially awkward and probably trying too hard to make conversation. Within weeks, Derek started showing unusual interest in my life. He began texting me about hobbies I enjoyed, asking for recommendations on books and music that he had previously mocked me for liking. Then came the unexpected visits to our home. I was just in the neighborhood, he would say, though our town was not on the way to anywhere he would normally go. He would arrive unannounced, always with some flimsy excuse, and his eyes would light up when Amanda appeared. He would find reasons to linger, asking Amanda for her opinion on various topics, completely ignoring me in the process. Online, Derek became even more obvious. He followed Amanda on all social media platforms, liked every single post within minutes, and left long, overly familiar comments. When Amanda posted about finishing a difficult project at 3 a.m, Derek commented, "You should be sleeping. I worry about you working such late hours." Amanda approached me after dinner one night. "George, I think Derek might have a little crush on me," she said carefully. His comments online are getting weird, and he texted me directly today asking if I wanted to get coffee sometime. I immediately called Derek and told him to back off. She's my wife, man. It's inappropriate to text her like that, I said firmly. Derek sounded shocked and hurt. I'm just being friendly. I thought we were all family. Why are you being so possessive? When I mentioned the conversation to my mother the next day, hoping for her support, she defended Derek vehemently. He's just being friendly. He's lonely and trying to connect with family. Amanda should be flattered that he wants to be close to his sister-in-law. That conversation planted the first real seeds of doubt and unease in my mind. There was something fundamentally wrong about how my mother and brother viewed boundaries within our family. The situation with Derek rapidly intensified over the following weeks. Amanda called me at work one day, her voice shaking. Derek is at my coffee shop, she said quietly. This is the third time this week he's shown up where I am. The coffee shop was 15 miles from where Derek lived. With our mother and Amanda, only went there occasionally. There was no way this was a coincidence. Derek began calling Amanda, directly asking for help with graphic design projects that never materialized or advice on gifts for girlfriends who never existed. He showed up at her networking events that had been mentioned on her professional social media pages. Then came the gifts. Expensive personal items that crossed every line. A gold necklace with her birthstone. A first edition of her favorite childhood book that must have cost hundreds of dollars. A framed sketch of her from a photo on her Instagram drawn by Derek himself in unsettling detail. When Amanda refused the gifts, Derek became sullen and accused her of thinking she was too good for his presents. Each rejection seemed to intensify his determination. The breaking point came when Amanda spotted Derek's car parked down the street from our house at 11 at night. He was just sitting there watching our windows. When she pointed it out, I stormed outside and confronted him. What the hell are you doing outside our house, Derek? I demanded, trying to control my temper. Public street, he mumbled, not meeting my eyes. Just needed some time to think. At 11 at night, 15 minutes from your house. Facing our living room window. Derek's eyes welled with tears. His typical response when confronted. Why are you attacking me? I'm going through a hard time and you act like I'm some kind of criminal just for driving around. I told him bluntly that his behavior was scaring Amanda and needed to stop. When I called my mother afterward, her response floored me. You always were jealous of the attention Derek gets, she snapped. Amanda is probably making a mountain out of a molehill. Derek told me she smiles at him all the time. Maybe she's sending mixed signals. My mother's enabling of Derek's obsession went beyond mere excuses. During a Sunday visit to her house, Amanda left her planner in the kitchen when she went to the bathroom. When we got home, several appointments were circled that had not been marked before. The following week, Derek coincidentally showed up at Amanda's hair salon during her appointment. When confronted, my mother finally admitted she had been sharing Amanda's schedule with Derek. He just wants to accidentally run into her sometimes, she said, as if this was perfectly reasonable. He's lonely, and Amanda is good for him. She brings him out of his shell. This revelation led to a massive family dinner confrontation where I told my mother she was helping create a dangerous situation. Your son is stalking my wife and you're helping him, I shouted. My mother stood up, trembling with rage. Family comes first. George, Derek is fragile and needs support. Amanda can handle a little attention. If she cannot accept our family dynamics, maybe she is not the right person for you. The rift with my mother grew wider, but the real damage was happening at home. Amanda's anxiety skyrocketed. She became afraid to leave the house alone, constantly checking windows and locking doors. Her work suffered as she felt unsafe, even in her home office, knowing Derek might be watching the house. I got a text from an unknown number today, she told me one evening, showing me her phone. The message read, "Blue looks beautiful on you today." She had worn a blue sweater while working by the window. Arguments between us became more frequent. Amanda felt I was not doing enough to protect her while I felt trapped between my wife and my family. "Your brother is terrorizing me and your mother is helping him," Amanda said through tears one night. "And you keep trying to reason with them like this is just some misunderstanding." She was right. I had been trying to handle the situation through conversations and compromises when what we needed was firm action. The final straw came when Amanda said, "Either we fix this permanently or I'm going to stay with my sister in Ohio. I cannot live like this anymore." I tried reasoning with my mother one last time, explaining how serious the situation had become. She responded by accusing Amanda of being mentally unstable and paranoid. When I mentioned getting police involved, she said, "Go ahead. I will tell them my daughter-in-law is making up stories because she wants to isolate you from your family." We did call the police, but just as my mother threatened, they treated it as a family dispute. Without evidence of explicit threats, they could not do much. We tried to get a restraining order, but my mother testified that Derek was a gentle soul who was being maligned by an unstable woman. My father, who had divorced my mother years ago because of her controlling nature, tried to intervene. He spoke to Derek man to man, but my brother had been under our mother's influence too long. Nothing changed. With our marriage under severe strain, we started seeing a counselor who specialized in trauma and family conflicts. After 3 sessions, her advice was clear. This situation is dangerous, and distance is your best immediate solution. We decided to move away as a last resort to save our marriage and Amanda's mental health. Finding an apartment in a secured building 50 miles away felt like our first breath of fresh air in months. We chose a building with key fob entry, security cameras, and a doorman. We told no one in my family our new address, not even my father, though I trusted him because information had a way of leaking back to my mother. For the first few weeks, Amanda began to feel safe again. The constant looking over her shoulder gradually diminished. She started sleeping through the night instead of waking at every noise. Our relationship began showing signs of recovery as the constant stress eased. "I feel like I can breathe again," Amanda said one morning as we had coffee on our small balcony. "I feel like we can finally move forward." I wanted to believe that distance would solve our problem, but there were troubling signs that we were still being watched. Amanda received flower deliveries at her new remote workplace with no card. My mother called with details about our new neighborhood that we had never shared with her. When confronted by phone, my mother became enraged about abandoning family. Her voice shook with fury as she said, "After everything we have done for you, this is how you repay us." By sneaking away in the night like criminals, I started working evening shifts at my new job, which meant Amanda was alone in the apartment, several nights a week. We installed additional locks and a security system linked to my phone. Amanda promised to call immediately if anything felt wrong. The night everything came to a head, I was scheduled to work until 11. At 9:15, my phone lit up with Amanda's call. I answered immediately. "He's here," she whispered, terror clear in her voice. "Derek is in the building. I saw him on the security camera in the hallway. He's trying to get in." My blood ran cold. "Call 911 right now." I instructed, already running to my car. "Lock yourself in the bathroom and do not open the door for anyone but the police or me." I drove like a madman while staying on the phone with police dispatch, explaining the situation. The operator kept telling me to calm down and drive safely, but all I could think about was Amanda trapped in our apartment with Derek trying to break in. I arrived at our building just as a police car pulled up. We raced upstairs together, but the scene that greeted us made my heart stop. Our apartment door was splintered around the lock. Derek had somehow gotten past building security and broken into our home. Inside, Derek had Amanda cornered in the living room, gripping her wrist while she tried to pull away. His face was contorted with a mixture of rage and what looked like twisted affection. "You never gave us a chance," he was shouting. "We could have been happy if George was not in the way. He never appreciated you like I do. He never noticed the details about you that I see." I lunged forward without thinking, tackling Derek to the ground. Despite being smaller than me, his rage gave him surprising strength. We struggled across the floor, knocking over furniture. At one point, he grabbed a lamp and swung it at my head, missing by inches. The police officers struggled to separate us in the confined space. "She belongs with me," Derek screamed as the officers finally restrained him. "Mom says she was always meant to be with me. Mom says you stole her." When the police searched Derek, they found a copy of our apartment key. During questioning, he admitted that our mother had obtained it during her only visit to the apartment, a peacemaking attempt I had foolishly agreed to 3 weeks earlier. She had made a copy and given it to Derek, telling him that Amanda needs rescuing from George's controlling behavior. Derek was arrested and underwent a psychiatric evaluation that revealed an obsessive disorder that had gone untreated for years. The police also searched his room at our mother's house and discovered what they described as an obsession wall. Hundreds of photos of Amanda taken from social media, through windows, and from a distance in public places. There were journals detailing his fantasies about rescuing her from me. Despite this overwhelming evidence, my mother continued to defend Derek. "He needs help, not jail," she cried when I spoke to her by phone. Amanda led him on. If she had just been kinder to him, none of this would have happened. The court finally granted restraining orders against both Derek and my mother. The prosecutor explained that my mother's active enablement made her legally complicit in the stalking. Amanda was deeply traumatized by the break-in. She jumped at shadows, had nightmares, and struggled to trust anyone outside our immediate circle. The psychological impact of being stalked for months, culminating in a home invasion, left deep scars. I battled my own demons, guilt for not protecting her sooner, anger at my family's betrayal, and fear that Derek might someday return. I questioned every memory of my childhood, wondering how I had missed the dysfunction that now seemed so obvious. The legal consequences for Derek included court-mandated psychiatric treatment and a suspended sentence contingent on his compliance with medication and therapy. My mother received a stern warning from the judge about enabling dangerous behavior, though she faced no formal charges. Diana continued to deny any wrongdoing, sending letters that alternated between begging for forgiveness and blaming Amanda for tearing the family apart. She attempted to contact us through extended family members and even Amanda's workplace. Each attempt reinforced our decision to cut ties completely. The emotional toll was immense. We decided that truly healing required a fresh start, far from the shadows of the past. 6 months after the break-in, we moved to Colorado, 2,000 miles away from Michigan. We told no one from my family where we were going, and I changed jobs, taking a slightly lower position at a new firm to facilitate the move. Amanda found a therapist specializing in trauma recovery. The journey was painful. Sessions often left her emotionally drained, processing not just the terror of the break-in, but the months of psychological torment that preceded it. "I keep thinking about the signs I missed," she told me one night after a particularly difficult therapy session. "All those times I felt watched, but told myself I was being paranoid. All those coincidences that never were coincidences at all." My own therapy focused on the guilt I carried. "I should have protected her better," I told my therapist repeatedly. "I should have seen what my brother was capable of. I should have recognized my mother's manipulation earlier." "You were raised to normalize dysfunction," my therapist reminded me. "You were programmed to doubt your own perceptions when they conflicted with your mother's narrative." Creating our new life required practical security measures as well as emotional healing. Our new home featured a state-of-the-art security system. We used P.O. boxes for mail and kept our personal information off public records. Amanda worked remotely under a slightly modified professional name, and we were careful about social media. These precautions felt extreme to some of our new friends, but they were necessary for our peace of mind. Over time, they became less about fear and more about establishing healthy boundaries, something neither of us had learned in our families of origin. Slowly, we built a supportive community in our new location. We found friends who respected our privacy while offering genuine connection. Amanda joined a survivors group where she met other women who understood the lasting impact of stalking and helped her feel less alone in her experience. My proudest moment came when Amanda landed a major design contract, her biggest professional achievement since the ordeal began. As she celebrated, I saw glimpses of the confident, creative woman I had fallen in love with emerging again from behind the fear. Our marriage, tested so severely, gradually strengthened through the shared trauma and recovery. We learned to communicate more honestly, to recognize when the other was struggling, and to balance independence with mutual protection. The couples therapy we continued even after the move helped us rebuild intimacy and trust that had been damaged during the months of crisis. I learned to set and maintain boundaries, a skill I had never developed growing up with a mother who viewed boundaries as rejection. I recognized that prioritizing my wife and our safety was not a betrayal of family, but an act of mature love and responsibility. Through this painful journey, I came to understand that blood ties do not excuse or justify abuse. Family should be a source of support and safety, not fear and manipulation. My mother's enabling of Derek's dangerous obsession was not love. It was codependence that almost destroyed 3 lives. I realized that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to hold them accountable for their actions. By excusing and enabling Derek's behavior his entire life, my mother had actually prevented him from developing healthy relationships and coping mechanisms. True love respects boundaries. It builds up rather than controls. It protects rather than enables harm. These lessons came at a terrible price, but they transformed how I understand relationships and family. Today, Amanda and I are building our own definition of family based on mutual respect and healthy boundaries. We are cautiously optimistic about the future we once thought was stolen from us. While we remain vigilant, we refuse to let fear define our lives. The scars remain, but they have healed into wisdom. We have found peace not by forgetting, but by growing beyond the pain into something stronger and more authentic than before. Family is not determined by blood alone, but by who treats you with love and respect. Sometimes the family you choose becomes more real and more important than the family you were born into. Have you ever had to make the difficult decision to distance yourself from toxic family members? What boundaries have you had to set to protect yourself or loved ones? Share your stories in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about overcoming family trauma. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, your safety and peace of mind are always worth fighting for.